This tutorial will demonstrate how to create a HDA Houdini Digital Asset from Houdini and port it over to Unreal Engine. And I'll show you the power of using HDA that will really display Houdini's strength and being able to bring all that into Unreal Engine. First, I'll go over where to look in the support logs to find the compatible versions of Houdini and UE4, because you'll need matching versions of both software for the HDA to work. Next, I'll show you how to create a new HDA in Houdini. Then I'll use the newly created HDA in Unreal Engine. I demonstrate different techniques for bringing the two softwares together seamlessly. I'll end off by separating the HDA into different geometries so I can apply different materials inside UE4 to multiple geometries in a single HDA. So if you head over to the sidefx website, hover your mouse over the support menu and then go to the change log journal. Over here, choose the Houdini version you're working with. Then look for, under the categories, look for Houdini 4, and then you'll see a list of 3 different software plugins, Maya, Unity, and Unreal. So we want the Unreal plugin. Hit the submit. Now scroll a little bit lower until you see a comment that says added support for UE4 point whatever. For this one, it's 4.22.2. So that means for this version of Houdini, sidefx added support for UE4.22.2. That means Houdini 17.5.2.7 and all other ones above it and all other versions greater than that is compatible with this version of UE4. However, if you say you're using Unreal Engine 4.21, now that's not compatible with this version of Houdini. So Houdini is sort of not backwards compatible with UE4. Once you choose an Unreal Engine version, you sort of commit to it. An Unreal Engine version, you sort of commit to it for that installation. So choose a version of Unreal, then go to the sidefx support logs, look for the correct corresponding compatible Houdini version. So all these versions of Houdini is compatible with 4.22.2. So obviously I'm going to choose the latest one. So I'm going to be working with Unreal Engine 4.22.2. Now I don't really have it installed, so let's go over to the Epic Games software and then go over to library. Now you see I have 4.22.1. So all you have to do is click this little plus icon. A new menu will appear. Click this arrow key down and look for the correct version of Unreal Engine. So I need 4.22.2. I actually don't need it, sorry. 4.22.1, all you have to do is update it. Because the minor numbers, the third numbers over here, are just updates within the Unreal Engine. So all I have to do is just update it. And I should be good to go. So my Unreal Engine just finished updating. It is now 4.22.3. So this is my first time trying a version that is not exactly the one stated in the support. Like usually I would try to use 4.22.2, like the exact number to match Houdini. But I tried this out and it still works. So apparently the third number, the last number in the UE4 version, the very minor build number, won't matter as much apparently. Because as you can see, sidefx has added support for Houdini for 4.22.2, but I could not find an update that sidefx did for 4.22.3, which was probably just a release that this obviously 4.22.3 is very recent, but it still works. So you can actually give it a try. So if it doesn't actually, the UE4 doesn't actually match to all three numbers, if it's just the last number, you can still give it a try. Apparently it still works. Let's move on to the digital asset. So I opened up Houdini, and I'm gonna drop down a geometry. I'm just gonna build a very quick test geometry. I'm gonna drop down the rubber toy, but I want to delete the material for now. And the UVs. Don't know. You need to create a digital asset. Now, how do you create a digital asset? You wrap everything you want into a geometry node, like what I have here. Select it. Now go to Assets in the menu. The first menu here is New Digital Asset from Selection. Now that's what we want. And it says create subnet from selection first. I actually don't want the subnet because it creates a lot of unused nodes. So I'm going to say no. Give it a name, give it a nice name. Now, where do you want to save this digital asset? I'm going to give it a good spot. Now, it says here completely. There's a lot of parameters that come with anything in Houdini, as we have seen. Like these parameters, that's some of these parameters is what they're referring to. Now, do we want to delete the unused ones? So ones that we haven't even changed or haven't even touched? I'm going to say no. I'm going to leave them. And you'll soon see how it's useful when we get into Unreal. So we have our digital asset. It's in here. This is it. Let's go into Unreal. Now, I started up a project. This is just default project in third party. It's always a good idea to create a new folder so you know where the digital assets are all placed. So it's a little more organized. Now this is our HDA Houdini Digital Asset that we created in Houdini. So all you have to do is click and just drag it over and drop it in. That's all you have to do to bring it into the UE project. Now just click and drag the digital asset onto your level, just like any other digital asset that you do, and it'll load up properly. So this is our toy. Now what's great about this is that you can just flip over to Houdini and say, I want to make a change. I want to put a cylinder right beside the rubber toy. I'm gonna make this a polygon, end caps. I'm gonna move this over here. Now I'm gonna merge it together. So this is black. Now the reason the cylinder is black is because it doesn't, the normals are all messed up. So let's drop down to normals. There we go. Okay. Let's go back up. Select our geometry node, HDA geometry node. Go to assets, save asset, and then save this. So that's different from saving, that's different from saving the project. They're two different things. So if you look at our HDA, this has now been updated. This is our HDA. Let's go back to Unreal. Now, we don't see the cylinder yet. Select the HDA, scroll on the right hand side panel on UE. Scroll until you see Houdini Asset. That's this pane right here. And then rebuild the asset. Just click this. There you go. There's the cylinder. So it's that easy. You don't have to like this. Okay, the advantage of doing it like this, having it rebuild the asset on the fly, is that if you position it here, say I push it back, push it over, I don't know, let me rotate this. I'm gonna rotate it so the rubber toy is actually facing the stairs, or facing this the default geometry. So it's facing this cube right here. So the position has been translated and rotated. So I moved it around. Now let's go back to Houdini. Say you want to make another change. I want to add another cylinder. Let's just say that. I'm gonna template this. I'm gonna move this one to the right of the rubber toy. So there's two cylinders surrounding the rubber toy. Put it down, merge it. Okay. Select this. Asset. Save. And also you can save the project just in case, so you don't lose your changes. Now let's go back to Unreal. Now I just wanted to add a cylinder here. Now I don't want this asset, I don't want this rubber toy asset to reset to the original position where it started. I just want to add that cylinder. Now that's the beauty. That's the beauty of using this rebuild asset. It just builds it on the fly. There you go. You don't lose your current position in the UE project. This is very handy if you want to make minor changes to your character. Say you want to tweak the hair a little bit in Houdini of your digital asset, or you wanted to change the UVs, but you want to keep all the work that you've done, the position change and everything in UE, and you don't want it to change. You want it to keep all your work there. So this is very handy. So if you start playing this level, you'll notice that we can actually walk through our geometry, our HDA geometry. And that's probably not what we want. We want some collision on it. So let's exit out of this. Click our HDA. Go to Houdini generated static mesh setting. This one. For collision complexity, select complex collision as simple and give it a run. So now we can stand on him. So now we have collision. Let me see if I can land on the rubber toy. There we go. I'm standing on top of the rubber toy. So say I wanted to define the collision in Houdini. So I want the two cylinders here to be able to be collidable with the player in Unreal Engine. But I want the rubber toy to be able to, so the player could walk through the rubber toy. So let's go into our HDA. Now let's select the last node in the network for this geometry. We're going to be adding something after this. Have the mouse hover over to the 3D viewport. Click the mouse icon here. Now I'm going to select this cylinder, shift, and select the other cylinder. Let's take a look. It should be all selected. And then while the mouse is still hovering over the 3D viewport, I want to hit tab, type in group create, enter. So let's double check. Let's put this here. So now the two cylinders are inside this group. Now this group, I'm gonna name it collision underscore geo. So what this does is it tells Unreal Engine that this group is the geometry that I want to be collidable. It's the collision geometry. Let's see what this looks like first. Let's go back and let's just save the asset. Go to Unreal, recook it. So now it's gone. Under Houdini generated static mesh settings, switch it to project default and cook it again. Rebuild it again, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna play it. I know the cylinders has disappeared. I'll talk about that in just a bit. I just wanted to show you. So we've defined our collision geometry. It's still colliding with the cylinder. It's just that we can't see it. There's actually something else we need to set, but I just wanted to get this out first. So let's walk through the rubber toy. Let's see. We can walk right through the rubber toy because in Houdini, when we did our HDA, we made a group for the two cylinders and called it collision geo. So anything under that group will be considered collidable. Now let's go back to Houdini. Let's go back to Houdini. Go to the HDA. Now this same group, make a copy of this group. Let's hook this up. It's the exact same group. So this is the exact same cylinder. I'm going to change the name of this collision geo to rendered underscore. I think it's rendered. Okay. Here, let's save the asset. Let's go to Unreal. Click this. Build. There it goes. Now let's play it. Let's make sure it's still collidable. Okay, we can still collide over the geometry. We can walk through the rubber toy. So what this group, this rendered underscore collision geo group does, it tells Unreal Engine out of the collision geometry, which geometry do I want to be rendered, to be displayable. That's what this group does. So sometimes you might, when you're making a game, you might want an actor in the Unreal Engine to be collidable but not viewable. Maybe an invisible force field or something. So that's why there exist these two groups. That's why this is separated. Now this rendered collision geo only tells Unreal Engine to display which collision geometry. So out of the collision geometry, which one can be displayed. For example, this group here we did does not affect the rubber toy at all. So it's not in there, but in Unreal, we can still see the rubber toy. It's not collidable. It's not part of the collision geometry group. So we can still see it. Now we probably want to assign a material to our asset. So let's click our asset. And we don't really have a material slot in here. But if you look under Houdini generated meshes, you see 3 different collapsible menus. Let me just pull that up. Okay, we have more real estate. So this is the toy, rubber toy, and the cylinder. The cylinder has 2 slots. One was the rendered collision geo group, and the other is the collision geo group. So it has 2 of them. So say we want to assign materials to our HDA asset. So I'm going to go into the starter content. Now my starter content is stripped. I kind of deleted a lot of other stuff, so this is the starter content only has one folder right now. If you import the default starter content, you have a lot more stuff. I kind of deleted it because it was really heavy. So in Unreal Engine, pick a material. In the starter content, obviously there's a lot of template materials that you can use. So I'm just going to use this basic floor. Click it, right click, create material instance. Okay, and then I'm just going to move this into my HDA because that's what I'm going to be using. Now we can double click this material instance. Check the color. I'm going to change the color to red-ish. Okay. I'm going to make the roughness a little lower, so it's a little reflective, sort of. Maybe a little more lower. Okay, save it. I'm going to rename this basic floor, basic red. Now I'm going to copy this, paste it. I'm going to change the color, say green. Save it. You probably know what I'm getting at with this. Oops. Okay. Now we got two material instances, one red and one green. Now I'm going to make the rubber toy red. And then I'm going to make the cylinders green. Yeah. Now what if I wanted one cylinder to be green and... Okay, let's make another one. I'm going to make this blue. Save it. This is more cyan, I guess. What if I wanted one cylinder cyan and one green? Well, we can't really do that right now because both cylinders are considered one geometry right now. So let's go back to our Houdini. So I want to be able to assign a different material to each cylinder. The different material from the left cylinder and a different material on the right cylinder. So if we go into our HDA in Houdini, right now we have a collision group that is assigned to the two cylinders. So we want to keep that. This collision group, the rendered collision geo, tells Houdini which one gets displayed out of the collision group. So this is where we want to change it. Let's ignore this one. Select it. Come over here to the viewport. Press this, and I'm going to select the left cylinder, tab, group, create. Okay. So here I'm going to go rendered collision geo 1. Or you know what? I'm gonna call it left for the left cylinder. This suffix right here doesn't matter. As long as you have this prefix, Unreal Engine will recognize it, and then it will match unique primitives with the prefix. That's how Unreal Engine distinguishes the groups. So as you'll see when we do a little bit more, because I need to make a few more groups. So let's make another group for the right cylinder. So I'm gonna go over viewport here, select this, group create, and I need to do the same thing. The prefix is important. The prefix has to match word letter by letter. And here I'm gonna go like something different. Right. So it as long as it's unique between between, here we go. Now, unique between the primitives. So we should not see any overlapping. We shouldn't see 1, 1 on this column. Everything that is 1 in this left column should not be 1 in this column. And it needs to be unique. So if I go like this, and I go left, and I union with existing, so both cylinders will be considered within this rendered group. So let me change it back. So this is a new group. This is the right one. This is the left one. Okay, let's put the render flag back on the out. Go back up here, asset, save, and head back to Unreal. Rebuild the asset. And now we have more menus in the Houdini generated meshes. Let's expand them. So this is our toy. This is the cylinder. This is another cylinder. And then this is both cylinders. Now this both cylinders is our collision geometry. Let's go back. It is this one. Oops. This one. The collision geo, which is the colliding geometry, which is this one. So it's invisible. What they mean is that the geometry that tells Unreal what to collide with is invisible. So you could have an invisible colliding geometry and you don't have the rendered geometry. So if I did not define this, if this was like ignored, then I wouldn't be able to see the two cylinders. But I would still be able to collide with it, just as I showed at the beginning of the video. So the important thing is that we have separated the display for the two cylinders. I separated apart, so now it's not stuck together. Now we have the cylinder on this one, rendered complex collider. So this geometry for this one is different from this one. Let's assign a color to it so it looks more apparent. I'm going to make this one blue. So that's the one on the right, the cylinder on the right. And I'm going to make this one green. So that one's on the left. Now before we couldn't do this because the rendered complex collider was actually still joined, the two cylinders joined. But since we have done this now, we have a group for this one and a group for the other cylinder. We have separated the two cylinders for the rendered collision geo and gave it a different suffix for the group name, which determines which tells Unreal Engine how to handle it. So Unreal Engine gives us these two menus. We can also assign material to the rubber toy. But since the rubber toy isn't, I didn't create a rendered collision geo group for the rubber toy. If you look carefully, the rubber toy is a static mesh. So it's different from, these are static meshes too, but they're not titled, there's no bracket here, rendered complex collider. So it's on its own. It's just a plain static mesh that we cannot collide with. So just to show you, I can run right through the rubber toy. So this I cannot. I'm gonna jump on it. Okay. So I can still like this, and I'll jump on. Okay. There we go. So I can collide. The player collides with both the cylinders, but not the rubber toy. This tutorial ended up being a lot longer than I anticipated once again. But I think I covered quite a bit involving HDA, Houdini's digital asset creation, and how to use it with Unreal Engine. I absolutely love how sidefx's UE4 plugin works so well with HDAs, and the workflow is just so seamless between the two applications. I'm going to come up with some more tutorials revolving this topic, so please stay tuned soon. Thank you for watching and sticking to the end.